Hey guys, in this review you will notice that I did not have a helmet on for the review video. Now the reason for this is that I actually lost my helmet on this review trip. It was the last day of filming, so we had to just, make it work, but I got a new helmet now, and you guys should always wear a helmet when you're out riding. All right, let's jump into it. What's going on, guys? Back out here in Malibu. Not quite so sunny today, a little bit cloudy. Honestly, it's kind of nice because I got a little bit sunburned yesterday, but anyways, we're checking out an awesome bike here today. It is the SONDORS MXS, which is a mountain bike. Now, people have been asking for a SONDORS mountain bike for almost as long as there's been a SONDORS company making e-bikes, and they finally did it. So here you go. This is the MXS. It is a hardtail mountain bike, sort of. There's no rear suspension, but you do get this suspension seat post there, 30 millimeters of travel on that. Up front, you've got quite a bit more at 130 millimeters of travel on there. Big 32 millimeter aluminum anodized stanchions and Maxxis tires. Very powerful motor back here. You're looking at 750 watts, and that is connected to a massive battery, 48 volt, 17 amp hour, very high capacity. Now, for this bike, you've got a couple of color choices. I believe there's just two. The red here, torch is what they call it, and then there's a black, which is called graphite. Only the one frame size. Now, if you're a tall rider, really tall, then you can't quite get full leg extensions. Just to give you some reference, I'm 6'3", and so I can get close to full leg extensions, not quite. I'll show that for you guys when we get to the ride test. But if you're more average height, 6 feet or lower than that, this will be a solid fit for you. And this bike, you're looking at a weight of 65.7 pounds. We just weighed it a little bit ago. That is almost right on the dot for their website. They have it listed at 65. So really not bad when you consider all the components you've got here, plus size tires. And you get a 1-year comprehensive warranty on this bike as well. This is a change from SONDORS, how they used to operate. They had only a 30-day warranty on their bikes back in the early days when they first got going, and that was something that a lot of people complained about. And they've really been stepping up their game there, adding the 1-year comprehensive warranty, which is that's a pretty decent one. The best we see on any bikes is some that have a 2-year. So 1 year is pretty standard. Awesome, I'm liking that. They've added more customer support staff too, which is always great to see. All right, so let's dive into the components on this bike. And as I mentioned, I think it's pretty awesome. It is powerful. 750 watts on the motor back there. It has got a lot of get up and go in the throttle. Now, this does ship as a Class 2 electric bike. So that is pedal assist and throttle. You've got both of those options, cadence-based pedal assist. Now, this motor is capable of a lot higher speeds than 20 miles per hour, which is the limit it ships with out of the factory to make it a Class 2 status. Now, you can configure it in the settings to raise that all the way up to 28 mile per hour top speed if you want to. That puts you into the Class 3 range. However, be aware, you've got to remove your throttle or disable it if you do that. It's technically the Class 3 goes up to 28 miles an hour with pedal assist only, no throttle. So if you do want that extra speed and you need to comply with the law, make sure that you do disable the throttle. There's actually some plugs inside the case there where you can easily disable the throttle if you need to, and SONDORS has guides on how to do that. But as I mentioned, it ships with a Class 2 rating on it. Now, you're looking at a great price on this bike for the components that you're getting here of $16.99. So that's $1,700. That includes the shipping, and you get great components on here. We're going to dive into all those components in a bit. There's some accessories that you don't get that you might see on other e-bikes, lights and fenders and racks and stuff like that. Of course, this is a mountain bike, so it makes sense that we're not seeing those components on here, but that is also in line with how SONDORS builds their bikes, as they tend to keep it more basic in terms of, we're going to give you like a good quality bike and just the bike. You got the bike and the mechanical components, the electrical components, but other accessories and stuff like that, if you want to buy those, you add those on yourself. SONDORS sells a bunch of them, and you can get them third party as well, but that's part of how they're able to keep their costs so low, which is really one of their hallmarks, is low priced bikes. For all of their lineup, they're impressively priced. Now, looking at components on the bike here, what you get for that $16.99 price tag. Up front, I mentioned the suspension, 130 millimeters of travel on this. As you can see, it's SONDORS branded, SONDORS air shocks, but it's a Mozo air shock. That's who makes it. I think they've got, yep, there's the sticker on the back here. And so it's got the clicker on the side here to adjust that. And then you can also pop off this cap over on the left. And this is to adjust the air pressure in there. So as you can see, Schrader valve right there. As long as you've got a bike pump with you, you can adjust that. Get that mounted back in there. Now it's a hardtail, so there's no rear frame suspension, but they do have this suspension seat post on here. You get about 30 millimeters of travel with that, pretty standard there. It does help out a surprising amount. Suspension seat posts are a great way to add just a little bit of extra cushion in the back. You've got the gel saddle here, Saddle Royale gel saddle. Now this is a good, I like these saddles, they're comfy. They are a little bit wide for what you would usually see on a mountain bike. Mountain bikes tend to usually have, you know, a bit narrower and more aggressive saddle so that you don't get any chafing. And of course, it's not a dropper seat post, so this is basic as mountain bike saddles go. And if you're doing any extreme mountain biking, you might want to change that for a dropper or even just a more aggressive one. So if you need to, you can, that's a pretty straightforward upgrade to make. But for more, I guess you could say more casual mountain biking and especially trail riding or cruising around near the beach like we're gonna do in just a little bit, gets the job done. Now the tires on here, Maxxis tires. Let's come around to the side here so that you can take a look. These are the Maxxis High Roller 2, and you can see the size right there, 27.5 by 3.0, so that's a plus size tire. Nice, wide, gets you some really solid traction, and it can handle sand pretty darn well too. As you can see right here, we've got exo puncture protection on here. Big fan of that. It's pretty much a must on mountain bike, honestly. Like even for terrain around here, you've got to have that puncture protection. Tubeless ready as well. They do have the same tire on the front and the rear, that same High Roller 2. We do see some bikes where they'll have the varying tires on the front and rear to help with the different functions here. The tires that they're using are most effective on the rear if you look at the tread pattern here. And honestly, they're a good all-purpose one because you've got the more horizontal lines in the middle that help out for the motor so that it can get good traction, especially with a powerful motor like that. And then out here on the side really helps out with your turning traction. So that'll be good up front. For the braking, solid brakes on here. They have upgraded these quite a long ways from when the original Sondors came out. These are the Tektro Ariga E-Sub. That's an electric bike specific hydraulic disc brake, 180 millimeter rotors here on the front and rear, dual piston calipers, and nice big 4-finger levers too. So these are extremely easy to actuate. They stop the bike like a dream. We'll show that off in the ride test in a bit here. Solid brakes there. I really appreciate that they have upgraded those. Now, as we move around the cockpit here, you're going to see a lot of the same components that are on the other Sondors bikes. This is one of the ways that they're able to keep costs low, is that they use as many of the same components on all their different models. Helps to streamline the manufacturing end of things a lot. You've got the ergonomic rubber locking grips. Pretty comfy. Definitely good that they're locking on a mountain bike like this so that if you're bearing down on those grips, depending on what kind of terrain you're riding on, they're not going to be twisting around on you. We've got the same 3-button control pad over here on the left with the 3.5 or so inch color LCD screen. We're going to dive into that screen settings and all that in just a minute here. The variable thumb throttle right here on the right grip next to the grip shifter, Shimano RevoShift. It's nice and smooth. It does what it's supposed to do. They're kind of nice on a bike like this because you can dump gears really fast if you need to downshift a whole bunch quickly. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the drivetrain. But first, let's take a look at our control system here. Now, the bike has to be switched on if you want to fire that up. I'm just going to show you where that switch is. It's under this little cap here. And it's a little bit challenging to get off, which honestly is good. You don't have to worry about it falling off. Off and on switch. So obviously the battery's got to be switched on. Now that we've got the battery switched on, we can come over here, fire up the control system, hold down that eye in the middle. I'm gonna try and position the camera so you guys can see. The camera always has trouble picking up the screen. I think hopefully that's good. It is overcast, which helps. And just a quick note on it, you can see these in direct sunlight. It's not as bright as I would like. For example, the grayscale LCDs, those are really the pinnacle for being easy to see in the bright sunlight. This one is not quite there. The speed is pretty easy to see because that's in the center and white, so it's got the really good contrast ratio, and same for the assist level at the bottom, and the battery shows up pretty good in the top left too. But, in the direct sunlight, you might have to lean closer or shade it with your hand, depending on where you're at. You can adjust the angle on it if you need to get a good spot to reduce the glare. Anyways, you've got that battery indicator at the top, 5 bars, not real precise, it's 20% steps. I would like to see a percentage is the best, but it gets the job done. Now we've got the pedal assist level right down the bottom. We're in 2 right now, so you can turn it all the way down to 0 where it's off, so nothing on the throttle. That's nice if you're pushing the bike around, maybe you're moving it around at the bike rack, you want to make sure you don't bump the throttle. And you can go all the way up to 9. Now you can actually change that if you only want 3 levels, so you don't want to push a bunch of buttons or something like that. And we actually did a deep dive on this into the advanced settings, so we'll cut to that in a minute. But just for the basic stuff here, you can adjust that pedal assist level. Over here it's showing the max speed that we hit ever on this bike, which was 30 miles an hour. As you can see your trip timer or your trip odometer over here. You can short press the I and you can change to see the average speed, and then there's the ride time and then the odometer. You can switch that around in there, and if you want to get into the settings, you hold down the plus and minus. Now we're just going to go into the basic settings here. Basic display setting, you can change between imperial and metric. There's the LCD brightness. As you can see, we've got it cranked up to the highest. Dormancy, that's the sleep timer. So if you leave it unlocked, or excuse me, if you leave it idle, then it'll go to sleep after 5 minutes. You can reset your trip stuff. AL sensitivity, that's the light sensor for the display. It can actually, when it's dark, the light sensor can pick that up and dim the display a bit, make it a little bit easier. You can set your admin password in here and change that. That password is really nice so that somebody can't like change the advanced settings and stuff like that without you telling them the password. People can't get in there and mess it up. Hey guys, so I'm here with Bruce again. We've got the MXS here, and he's going to walk us through some of the advanced settings on the display here. There's a ton of stuff that you can tweak here for the levels of pedal assist and all kinds of good stuff like that that will stick on this bike, whereas on some of the other ones you can change the settings, but then it'll reset after you turn off the bike. All right, so I'm going to let Bruce take it away here. We'll dive into the admin settings here.
The SONDORS MXS is basically set up so it's programmed from the factory at 20 miles an hour, so it's a class 2 electric bike, but you can make it a class 3 electric bike. It comes with both stickers, so you can either put a class 2 sticker or a class 3 sticker on the bike. So when you go into the programming, you have your advanced settings, and then you can adjust your wheel diameter size. Right now it's set at the size of the wheel. You got your speed limit. You go into your speed limit, you can turn it all the way down to down to 17 miles per hour, 20 for class 2, and 28. But if you set it at 28, technically by law you've got to disable the throttle. So it does come with plugs that you can plug in to disable the throttle and take the throttle off. Then you have your current limit on the controller, which is 25. You can actually turn that down if you feel like it's got too much power, so you can like neuter the bike. And then your speed sensor has 6 magnets, your pedal sensor has 12 magnets, and then the voltage range on the battery, and then you have your power with your pedal assist levels.
Right, yeah, and so you can even change that, so yeah, look at that.
You can change it from 3 levels of pedal assist, because some people just don't like pushing a lot of buttons. It comes standard at 5. My personal one is I love the 9 levels, because then it makes it a lot smoother to ride. And then when you push the button again, you can go in and adjust the percentage levels. And the settings that you see here are 7%, 14, 20, 25, 35, 45, 55, 75, and 99 are my personal settings that I put on the bike. And those are the ones I love riding around on. It makes it more comfortable and more smoother of a ride.
Yeah, it's a really good, you were saying like on the, it's nice to have that really low one on number 1 if you're like on the boardwalk or something and you don't want a ton of power, and then you can kind of curve it up from there so you can still feel a substantial change as you go up on it. Right on. All right, thanks Bruce.
Okay.
And of course there is a walk mode right down here on the bottom. Pretty handy if you need to walk the bike for any reason, since they're a bit heavy, 65.7 pounds on there. It's actually really nice if you need to walk it in the sand, because that can be a lot of weight to push in the soft sand. Now you can ride this one in the sand. I actually did a little bit of cruising around. We'll do some of that on the ride test, because these are plus size tires at 3 inches wide, so they're not quite fat tires, but they still do a good job. You can lower the pressure down a little bit to help out. If you get into the really soft sand, it's going to struggle, but anything from like medium down to the firm sand closer to the water does absolutely awesome down there. Moving around a bit more here, we'll check out the cranks. Standard 170 millimeter alloy cranks there. Those are made by Lasco. They've got the Sondors branding on them, but Lasco's who they work with for it. And the Wellgo alloy pedals here, these are the solid metal ones here with the pins on them. Really solid traction on them. I'm a big fan of these. They're pretty big too, so it's easy to keep your feet on there. Kickstand is rear mounted, which is awesome. No pedal lock if you are backing the bike up, you know, moving it around the kickstand or in the garage. I like that, and it also helps out just to balance the bike a little bit better. We've got the motor back here, and I think they're around 10 pounds for the motor. We'll put the exact weight in the written review. But yeah, this back here, having the kickstand back here where the weight is, helps out with that. And the motor, as I mentioned, 750 watts. This is a Bafang motor. It has the Sondors name on it, but that's really the only customization that they did, was to add that branding. It's the standard Bafang 750 watt, peaking at around 1,000 watts. A lot of power in that motor. It is a lot of fun to ride. Now the sensor for this, for the pedal assistance, let's move over here so you can see it. Cadence sensor, you can see it right back there. 12 magnets, so good high resolution on it. I am a little bummed out that it's not a sealed sensor, because if this gets bumped and bent, the magnets can fall out, and that can really mess up your pedal assist detection. Now it's, you know, it gets some protection from the bash guard and everything, so that's not a common occurrence, but it still can happen. So just keep an eye on that down there. For the drivetrain side of things, we've got a little bit of an upgrade from the other Sondors bikes that I've already checked out. This derailleur is the Shimano Altus, so that's a step up. Tourney's their entry level. Altus is one step up above that. A little bit better performance, a little bit smoother. The cassette back here, this is a 7-speed, a 1x7. And let's turn that around so we can see. I think it's the MF TZ 500-7. So that's a pretty basic range here. You're looking at 14 to 28 teeth on there. For a mountain bike, I would like to see a little bit bigger of a range, go a little bit on the bigger end, a little bit higher, but it still gets the job done. And especially when you have a 750 watt motor connected to it, that'll help out quite a bit. But still, just be aware of that range limitation. It's going to limit a bit of what you can do in terms of climbing really steep hills. You're going to need a little bit more help from the motor than you would on a normal mountain bike, which makes sense. You know, it's a mountain bike for sure, but it is not a normal mountain bike by any means. It's definitely got the Sondors spin on it. They've got the slap guard that comes on here, protects that right chainstay from getting hit by the chain and scratched. The chain, by the way, they upgraded these to stainless steel chains so that they will be a bit more durable, less wear and tear, especially when you're riding on the beach and they might be getting wet. We've already got a little sand in here from our earlier beach adventures. And up here on the front, 48 tooth steel chain ring, and they've upgraded to the alloy guards on all their bikes, and it is a full guard here, so as you can see, it goes on both sides of the chain. Awesome on a mountain bike so that the chain does not get bounced off of there if you're going over bumps and rough terrain, which you are almost guaranteed to do. I am a fan of the cable management. They did a really nice job keeping it nice and clean. You can see it running into the frame here. Really just a beautiful look to it. They did a fantastic job with that. And of course they got the battery, you know, tucked right into the center compartment there. That's really the classic Sondors element, at least to me, is having this triangle shaped compartment in the middle that houses the battery. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive in there. By the way, this is the charge port. This is easier if you have fingernails. Stand by. Okay, there we go. We got it off. All right, so charge port right there. That is where you'd plug in the charger. It is a little bit low for my taste, just because it's the crank arm gets pretty close to it there, as you can see. So if you've got it plugged in and the cord's hanging out and you move the bike around or it gets bumped, your crank arm could get tangled up in that cord, potentially cause some damage in there. Be careful of that if you're charging the battery while it's on the bike. Now you can charge it off the bike, of course, if you would like to do that. And it can be a good idea to take the battery off to keep from exposing it to extreme temperatures. You don't want to, you know, leave it out in extreme heat or extreme cold outside. So let's show you how to do that. You unscrew this right here. And there you go. That is the battery. You are looking at a 48 volt, 17 amp hour 17.5 amp hour, excuse me. That is very high capacity. Fantastic. It does, of course, add some weight to the bike. You're looking at about 10 pounds on it. I think it was 10.1. Got the exact weight back on the written review, but it's pretty hefty. And to remove the battery here, I'm gonna see if I can do this with one hand. It's a little bit challenging. Now, one thing to note here is that this is a multi-step removal process. Not only do you have to open the compartment, but once you have unlocked the battery with the keys here, to actually fully remove it, you have to disconnect the main controller connector right here to be able to truly remove it from the bike. We'll unlock it here so you can at least see that part. Pops right out there, and as you can see, we've still got it on the leash, so I'm gonna set the camera down and disconnect that. All right, so there you go. There is your battery. It does have a nice carry handle right here, so it's pretty easy to maneuver once you've got it off. There's that on-off switch. You can, this here, you can cover that up so that you don't get any dust or dirt into that controller plug. There's the charging port and a button so that you can check the voltage while you have it out here. But it's, like I said, it's really easy to carry. It's a nice handy shape. It does weigh about 10 pounds. All right, I'm gonna lift that cap off, and I'm gonna put the camera down again so I can get that cable reconnected. All right, get this put back in here. It is easy to get back in because you can just, you don't have to like turn the key, you can just push it and it locks right in there. And there's the controller right there. You can see maximum current of 25 amps. Make sure that that is out of the way there. We've just been hiding the keys in here, but if you get one of these, don't leave your keys in here. That would be a bad idea. That's just for reviewer convenience only. All right, guys, I think we have covered just about everything for the walkthrough. I'm going around here just to make sure we didn't miss anything. Oh, I didn't mention that we've got a USB charging port on the side of the controller. That is a full 1 amp port too, so you can charge an iPhone. There's some that have only a half an amp, 500 milliamp ports that can charge an Android but not an iPhone, so that's nice. I've got an iPhone, and so it always bums me out when I'm not able to charge on the go. You could mount a phone mount probably right there on that left part of the handlebar too. A little bit of real estate to work with there. All right, guys, let's do some riding. As I mentioned, leg extension is not quite full for me, as you can see here. I do have the seat, the standard seat anyways, raised up all the way. So I get close, but not quite there. I am 6'3", so if you're more standard size, then you're gonna be fine. Let's go ahead and fire that up. We're actually gonna just take off on the throttle here. Oh, just tons of speed. This thing is incredibly powerful. I'm gonna slow down a little bit here, go over this bump, and then I'm just gonna go full throttle again so you can see how fast we can accelerate. Very quick to get up there and hit that top speed of 20 miles per hour. Turn around right here. You can definitely hear the motor. It's about as loud as on the Fold, since it's Fold XS using the same motor here. Well, pretty audible. It's not the loudest that I've heard. It's towards the louder end of the spectrum. Not stealthy by any means, but it's a Sondors. That's definitely not what they're going for. Braking is really great. Even just using the one brake on here. Get turned around. Even just using the one brake, I can still stop pretty dang quickly using that rear brake. Now I'll switch to the chest mount in just a little bit, show off the braking with both of them. It's got some solid short stopping distance. The shifting is great as well. I'm all the way down in first gear here, which, as I mentioned, is not the best for a mountain bike, for if you're needing to climb something really steep, but the motor does really help out with that. And shifting is smooth, as you would expect from the Shimano Altus. You actually shift really quickly, so we're up in 7 right now. It is a nice thing having those the twist grip shifters like that, is you can just dump a whole bunch at once. All right, get turned around one more time. I do want to show you guys the responsiveness on that pedal assist. It is impressive. I think I mentioned this yesterday that Sondors does a really good job tuning these so that even though it's a cadence sensor, it responds very quickly. I'm just going to do 5 because I don't want to completely overwhelm myself here. Get shifted back down. And I'm going to show you guys a view of the motor so that you can hear it kicking in. Is super impressive. It kicks in almost immediately when I start pedaling. Cadence sensors typically will have more of a delay of, you know, a second or so, and this one kicks in almost instantly. There's a little bit of a delay on the stop, so when I stop pedaling, then it does keep the motor power going for just a little bit. Now, it's not really a big deal here because we've got motor inhibitors on these brakes that will cut power as soon as you squeeze the levers. That way, if there is a little bit left over from the cadence sensor, then it's not going to cause any unsafe situations for you. Alrighty, folks. Gonna do a little cruising around. Got the chest mount on so we can do some off-roading and really show you what we can do. I lowered the seat down a bit just to help out with the camera angle so that you guys don't have to stare at the pavement. So much power. Woohoo! That suspension seat post really does help out a lot. I just stayed sitting down for that speed bump and really wasn't bad. Of course, you know, normally you'd want to stand up for that to really help out. Now, I'm riding this right now with the custom tuning that Bruce, that tech guy, has configured this one for. So he's got it set up. I actually really like it, and honestly, I would do something similar if this was my bike. So if we shift all the way down to 1, it's a very low amount of assist. I think he only put it to like 5% maybe. So it's just a little bit. This is really nice if you're like riding on the boardwalk or there's a bunch of people around or something like that. Really helps to keep it from feeling overwhelming, or if you wanted to get just a little bit of a workout, be nice for that too. And then as you increase it, it gets little steps at first and then it really cranks up to a whole lot of assist towards the end. Let's see if we can make it all the way down to the hard packed sand. I'm gonna kick that all the way up, shift down. Oh man, so we're riding in really soft sand right now. Tires at full pressure too, and I am just tearing through it. I'm in first gear and I do have the pedal assist all the way up. Almost to the hard pack. There we go. Yeah. Just juicing it on the throttle here. These tires feel awesome. I'm not even getting like really any drift. Of course, it is pretty hard sand. Let's go up here a little bit. There we go. Can drift a bit. Yeah. So I cranked it back down here. Just level 5 assist. I am still in first gear, and this is what I was talking about, how the range is a little bit limiting. You know, I'm able to cruise along at 12 to 15 miles an hour with a good cadence in first, which is great for stuff like this, honestly. It'll just be a little bit more limiting when you're climbing. Yeah, we actually got up to 27 miles per hour with pedal assist there. Freaking awesome, and really solid stopping power. Turn around so you can see I did leave a bit of a I did burn a little sand there. All right, we're gonna head on back now. Shift that back down. And we got ourselves down here. I'm wondering if we can get ourselves up and out of here with the tires at full pressure. That would be impressive. We'll go down here and see what we can do. Woo! A little bit of drifting, but really not bad. Not bad at all. Oh, that was a really steep bit. Yeah, this going uphill right here on this sand is going to be a bit too much with the tires full. I don't really want to drop them down yet. It's one of those times where I was saying walk mode, fantastic. Back on pavement, there's a nice hill a little ways over this way to show you guys a little bit there of the climbing power on this. We can do some stopping power stuff too. Let's do that first. All right, here we go. Just gonna juice it. We are going 20 miles an hour and we'll do a brake test. Awesome. Just a little bit of skidding, but fantastic performance from those Tektro Ariga E-subs. Yeah, do a little, it's almost a little bit of trail riding. Feels solid. The suspension fork feels really nice, especially standing up. I love the plus size tires. Oh yeah, there we go. I'm definitely using the throttle quite a bit. I'm gonna switch back over to the pedal assist. Oh, that was gonna be too high. We hit the extremely soft sand here. We're not quite set up for that. Feels really nice on this particular, like this is the kind of loose sand on top of asphalt, which is not the best for traction, but do a little, yeah, no, feels good. I think we're coming up on the hill here, so we are going to hang a right and we're gonna go all the way up. So we'll shift down to first gear. We'll go all the way up to level 9 pedal assist. I'm gonna see what we can do on the hill here. Honestly, I'm already wanting to upshift just because it's having no problem. Let's do it. I don't know what the grade is on this hill, but it's on Malibu Point right next to the Sunset Restaurant. So I'm actually like just shifting up. I'm actually accelerating here, which is freaking cool. All right, I'm gonna downshift. We're getting to the steep part of the hill here. So we'll shift down to, you know, we're almost stopped here. All right, let's see what we can do. So I'm in first gear here, pedaling pretty light and really not having trouble. I mean, I'm starting to put some effort into it now. Wow, this is a steep grade. So solid. I'm still sitting down, and remember, I got the seat lowered too, so I'm not even close to full leg extensions here. This is actually a pretty uncomfortable seating position that I'm just doing so I get a better angle with the camera. And I'm accelerating up this hill. We're gonna shift up some gears now. Yeah, we're about at the top now, so let's do a little turny turn and we will head back down. So I'm going to turn the pedal assist down all the way off, actually, just ride it like a bike down. I want to see how fast we can get going. The frame seems really solid so far. I haven't noticed any frame flex at all. Super durable. So I'm excited just to see, you know, let's get going fast, and I'm already up to 20 miles an hour. This thing is a steep hill. I'm just riding on the brakes here. I got up to almost 30 there before I started slowing down. Brakes feel awesome. Oh, it feels great. Frame feels solid. Okay guys, that is a wrap here for the SONDORS MXS. That is the first mountain bike that SONDORS has ever made after being requested to make one for many years. Hope you like the bike. I had a blast with it. I love the components on here, the power. It is a lot of fun to ride, especially for only $16.99 price point. You got questions about the bike, comments, maybe you own a SONDORS and we want to share your experiences with them, chime in the comments section. You can also find us back at ElectricBikeReview.com. We've got the full written review, link in the description of this video for this bike. It's got all of the specs, measurements, weights, you name it. You can compare it head to head against other Sondors bikes or other bikes from other places. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you out here next time.